People said Politis was gonna kill Cleave. You can't cleave anymore. And, I mean, they were right. Technically. Right? Unless... Then I thought to myself, what if, instead of, letting them take her, what if I took her instead and used her as our cleave, my cleave? So that's what I tried. Alright, so let's just get down into it. Down and dirty. Sorry. I mean, this is probably one of my earlier games. This was essentially when this was like 2 days, a day or two after she came out. This is during Shotgun Shogun's tournament, where I fought Jinx. Yeah, I knew Jinx had Politis built already, so I couldn't let him have it. And at the same time, I also couldn't really... I don't feel like I could have pre-banned it against him. So I decided to take it against him. This was the second match. First match, I tried something else. Didn't really work. I'm like, alright, whatever. What I have to lose. So, I mean, I'll let you guys see how I use her here. And then, in the next, maybe 2 fights after this. Next 2 or 3 fights. I'll show you guys how I use her, what methods you can use her. I'll talk about her pros and cons. But for now, just watch this match first. If you're still interested, you can continue watching. If not, then I hope you have a good day either way. So, bear back. Alright, so, I mean, hopefully you guys found that intriguing. But yeah, so long story short, the thought process was really, I decided to try her as a cleave because her multipliers weren't bad when I initially first saw her. I thought to myself, what if letting opponents take her, instead I decided to take her, right? Like, what if I could make use of a unit that they would have built up as anti-cleave? And obviously the first day or two matches are kind of rough. That didn't go too well. I didn't really figure out how to use her yet. And then I'm really hands-on kind of guy. The more I use a unit or whatnot, the more I'll figure out how I like her, what she can do, where her weaknesses are. Where their weaknesses are. Yeah. So, trying her out, I realized, what her pros and cons were. And I'll talk about them here as we go through some of these matches here. So, first of all, I'll put this out this way. Politis, or cleave Politis, or damage-oriented Politis, DPS Politis, is very good against squishy Arbiter Vildreds, aka if they're a fast Arbiter Vildred, pure damage, right? Or against T-Cerns. Arbiter Vildred, if it's not on a counter tanky MLDB build, most of the time I don't worry too much about it. The people who run counter ones, tanky counter ones, yeah, screw you. Anyways, aside from that, yeah, so in this case you won't see me kill Arbiter Vildred here with Politis because I have ML Luluka, obviously secure it, but in one of the upcoming fights I will show you. So in this situation here, it doesn't fully demonstrate it because of the mitigation. I'm not able to do enough damage to T-Cern, but you can see what happens here in most cases. In most cases, when I run into a T-Cern here, when they try to bring T-Cern against anti-cleave, what I do is I hit T-Cern once, then I can AoE with her. Even if I don't land the AoE to kill her, she also gets unbuffable, blinded, right? So she can't proc Alexa's basket, she can't, she has a chance to miss and all that. So it's really useful in these situations in that case. And that goes likewise for Arbiter Vildred, if you can, picture that already, right? Because of my Soul Burn being on skill 1, if I have enough souls, I'm just gonna Soul Burn, kill Arbiter Vildred. If I need to, worst case scenario, Soul Burn twice, right? Kill him, hit him the second time, then secure it with the AoE. Right? And once again, worst case scenario, I can also land Unbuffable and Blind on him, so we can't get the Alexa's proc. He has a chance to miss on me, so he'll do less damage, he won't blind me, etc. Right? So it's not foolproof, it's not like 100%, oh, I'm safe, but I have a bit of a safety net to work with. Now, obviously, you can see the issue that comes down to it is, if they're running a counter tanky Arbiter Vildred, I may or may not be screwed, right? So that comes down to knowing your opponents. When I see who I fight, if I know off the top of my head, oh, they run a counter tanky Arbiter Vildred, I have to bring another method to deal with them now. I guess one of the things here is, though, my draft is oriented around having, 2 boosters and stuff like that. So Fairy Tail Tenebria, I'll always pick her first. If not Fairy Tail, then Flitica. Mainly because of that, these 2 picks I can still pivot off of Cleave. I can still run into something else, SSB, ML Crow, ML Tywin, Arbiter Vildred. You can go into like Araz, Ravi, Bruiser Landy. You can still run a lot of different things aside from Cleave, even if I first picked those things. So here in this instance, you see me, I kill Arbiter Vildred. I'm like, I'll secure it. I'll hit him once more first, just in case I can't kill him. Then I'll AoE. Whether or not whatever happens, he wasn't going to survive at that point. And then yeah, aside from that, right, it's like Politis itself is not crazy strong. So I'll tell you that straight off the bat. She's not crazy strong, but she does well enough against teams that are not full tanks. So that's the issue that I've run into, is that I'll run into people who are, they just, they're naturally very tanky. Oh, sorry, naturally is a weird word put here. They're people who are very, very tanky. Jinx was one of those people, that's just very difficult to face. They have a lot of anti-cleave based around running hyper tanks. Their gear quality is super high. I can't do enough damage to them. They run units like Crow, Counter Dizzy, tanky Counter Dizzy, super tanky SSB. And when I'm talking about tanky here, it's like 20k HP plus, that kind of thing with high defense. So those are the ones that I really run into an issue with. And another thing I realized is Politis doesn't fully fill in the role of CDOM. As you see here, CDOM is pre-banned, but Politis, I'm running Tagahel's book on. So I have kind of like, another book user now I can run. And then the other thing I realized was I might as well take another damage dealer. Threat. I can always pivot off of these units. So luckily I do have Arbiter Vildred, so I can go Fairy Tail Arbiter, or likewise Politica Arbiter. Now here's the other thing with Politis. ML Haste is not as big of an issue if I have a Stripper with me, right? So the other thing I can do always is I can go Fairy Tail Politica into Politis. That way I have double strip. As long as I take away their immunity, my Politis can land unbuffable. And that means my Arbiter Villager will be safe. So, I mean, obviously it's a coin toss whether or not who they ban, but I mean, right now, currently, people don't really ban Politis. So, not that worried. So yeah. Politis kind of helps in that instance there. Granted, she also does damage, right? AoE damage, single target damage. And then there's a fight after this that she works very well against certain units, I realized, after playing with her here and there. And it forces people into a bad spot when I leave those units in and they don't ban Politis. So in this instance here, right, this part was a little strange. Yeah, this guy had no immunity whatsoever. Very confusing. It's kind of like, I'm not gonna pick anything for your Fairy Tail. I'm not gonna ban your Fairy Tail. I'm just gonna let myself get hit with every single debuff kind of thing. I'm like, okay, cool. Sure, I'll take it, I guess. Anyways, yeah. So the other part of that was lucky was Emerald Crown didn't get unbuffable, so he got the shield, which just straight up gave me like a free win, even more so. But yeah, in this situation here, right, I'm not really afraid of that Emerald Haste. I landed unbuffable in most cases against units, so I didn't really care. Not to mention I do enough damage anyways. Alright, so last thing here, pretty much, is this fight will show you what I mean by Politis can be very good in certain instances, even more so than I feel like she already is. Aside from that, right, she has her pros and cons. She cannot do damage to a lot of tanks, crazy tank teams, as I said. She's good against bruisers. She can work against bruisers. She's really good against squishier units. And unfortunately, all this comes down to whether or not you have enough speed, though, sadly. Okay, so, I mean, aside from that, you guys are going to see during this fight, Jingle's going to pick Elena, which ends up being a unit that Politis works very well against. Likewise, the same as Falcon or Clury. These instances, with Falcon or Clury, they have a choice, right? They can not skill 3, but if they don't skill 3, I'm okay with that. If they skill 3, forces them into a bad position-ish. Granted, they still get a debuff on me, so it's not the best. But with Elena, I force them into a bad position. Elena's combat readiness push gets cut in half. Right? I do damage too because I'm running a DPS Politis here. This guarantees me to cut, actually. Especially with T-Serin being here in this case, and I'm starting with Fairy Tail. I'm also in an even better position here because I land unbuffable on the units here. So Crow can't really give a shield to a lot of units here, unfortunately. I mean, at this point you can already see how I use Politis. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. And this was a bit of a weird video, unfortunately. Wasn't sure how to make it, really, to be honest. Aside from that, hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you guys wanted to see my stats, feel free to come ask on stream. Or aside from that, feel free to go to my website. Link will be in the description. You can check out my stats all the time there. Peace.